Hey guys, today I am finally bringing you my Overwatch 2 settings. It's been highly requested, and this time I'm going to be doing DPS, tanks, and supports. I know last time I only did DPS, but this time a lot of people have requested my tank and support settings, so I just thought that I'd wait till Overwatch 2 to share that with you guys. Just a heads up though, copying these settings doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will get better. These have worked for me because I've literally been using them for about 4 years now, and I've basically conditioned my aim to these specific settings. In all honesty, I mean, to each their own when it comes to settings, but I really hope that mine can either help you find your own or that mine just fit you perfectly. I mean, it's up to you to decide. With that being said, aim on Overwatch 2 has been reported to feel different from Overwatch 1. I have kind of noticed this myself, especially at first. My aim did feel a little weird. It felt a little faster, but honestly, now that I've given it time, I've given it about a week, I've gotten way used to it, and honestly my aim is way better now. I suggest for those of you that notice this change in aim to just stick with whatever settings you have right now, because if you just swap with them constantly, you're gonna kind of mess with your muscle memory, and you just want to stick to what you have. Before I go into the specifics of each hero, I'm going to show my general settings here. Most of the heroes I have don't really change from this. They're all the same buttons in the same sense. For those that I do change, I'm gonna give a little rundown on why I do it or why those specific settings feel good to me. But yeah, for most heroes though, I use the exact same sense of controls. There's a few more things I'd like to specify though. Here are my colorblind settings. I know I get asked that a lot. I'm not actually colorblind. I just like the way the game looks and feels with these specific colors. Another thing that I do that I actually turn off is anything to do with camera shaking. It doesn't necessarily help your aim, but it does really help with your gameplay, because I know your camera shakes so much in this game and you just want to minimize that. Also, here's my crosshair. I know my last one, I think it was just a default cross, but this time I've just changed it to a dot. Here's my ping button. I have it set to enemy specifically because if you set it to in world and you press it just a little too hard, it ends up opening the whole communication wheel, and that's really annoying. So I just set it to enemy only because you just tap it once and it'll mark an enemy. So for the first hero, we have Ashe, and for Ashe, I keep general settings the same. However, in my last video, I had her scope set to 50, but I ended up finding that 70 is way better for Ashe. This perfectly fits the unscope sense more or less, and I actually just found this a few months ago. It's been a while since my last video, but this has been pretty recent, and I suggest if you're going to use my sense, you use this. So at making this video, Bastion is actually currently disabled. I actually can't even play him in the practice range, but just know that it's the same as my default settings and nothing changes. Next hero is Cassidy, and for Cassidy, again, default settings. If it's perfectly with him, I think he's one of my best heroes. I can aim really well with him, and especially with Overwatch 2, with the removal of flash, aim is a lot more important. So yeah, this is perfect for him. I'm also going to let this clip play out. I get a ton of kills, and I think it's a pretty cool clip. Next hero is Echo, and for Echo I keep the sensitivity the same. However, I change her jump from A to left trigger. I do this because if you have your jump set to A and you play default like me, it's almost impossible to fly while aiming because you have to move your thumb from the right stick to A. So by changing it to left trigger, you get to use it holding your middle finger or index finger while also aiming with your thumb still. And also I changed the secondary fire to A, being her sticky bombs, just so you don't want to just get rid of that ability completely. So the next hero is Genji, and for Genji, I actually changed the aim swing to 70. I changed it to 70 on Genji because Genji is a fast hero, and just for me, playing with his shurikens and aiming with his shuriken is a lot easier on a faster sense than a slow sense. I don't necessarily track, I more flick, and flicking is a lot easier with a fast sense. I know some people like to change their jump to left trigger, but I don't do that. I keep it at A, and yeah, the only change is 70 aim swing. Onto Hanzo, exact same setting as my default settings. I don't change anything. However, I did try left trigger as jump for a little bit, just to see if I could be a little more better with his movement. However, I didn't get used to it. I didn't like it, but if you want to try it, you can, and if you like it, well, you could keep it. For Junkrat, in my last video, I actually had his aim smoothing at 70, but recently, I think about a few months ago, I actually ended up changing it back to 99 because I felt like 70 was a little too fast for Junkrat. Other heroes don't require aim like Junkrat, but I feel like Junkrat just requires a little bit more than them. So I just altered it back to my default settings. So for me, what I'm showing right now, I have it default settings. However, depending on when I play Mei, which is kind of rare, sometimes I change the aim smoothing from 99 to 70 just to be a little faster because Mei doesn't require that much aim. But I think with Overwatch 2, I'm going to stay more at the 99 because I'm going to be aiming my icicles a lot more just due to the fact that you just can't freeze and you only do damage. So you just don't want to miss as much because with faster sense you do miss a little more. So yeah, I'm probably just going to stick with 99 aim smoothing most of the time. But you can change to 70 if you want. For Pharah, in my last video, I said that I use 70 aim smoothing on her. I changed that now. It's 99. The reason for that is, I don't know, I just tested it a little and I found that I just like 99 more than 70. I hit a lot more of my rockets. I don't get to flick it as much, but that's not really a big deal. So yeah, 99 instead of 70, and I also fly using left trigger instead of A, just so you could aim better. I mean, if you fly with A, it'll just be really hard to aim, but yeah. For the next hero, Reaper, I changed my aim smoothing to 70 instead of the default 99, and I do this because Reaper, still in Overwatch 2 like in Overwatch 1, he's still a close range hero. People are going to be moving faster in your face, so I just keep it to 70 to be able to flick to them, because I like to flick a lot on Reaper. Tracking isn't really worth it, so yeah, I just keep it to 70 to keep that fast sense. For Sojourn, I keep my settings the same default. Sojourn is an incredible hero, a heavy aim based hero, and my sense is perfect for that, so yeah, I keep it the same and no changes. The next hero, Soldier 76, again, no changes to the controls or sensitivity. My aim is honestly perfect for hit scan. It's pretty consistent throughout the video, but yeah, again, Soldier 76, no changes. For Sombra, currently I have nothing changed. I have considered changing it to 70 aim smoothing, but I've kept it at 99 all throughout Overwatch 1, and I'm probably going to keep it at that through Overwatch 2. So yeah, no changes for Sombra. For Symmetra, again, same settings. While I don't think that Symmetra requires too much aim because of how wide her beam is and how kind of easy it is to aim, I still keep it at the same 99 aim smoothing just because I don't want to mess up. I don't want to make it faster. I think that with 99 Symmetra is perfect. For Torb, sensitivity is the same. However, since Torb has a second weapon being his hammer, I have his next weapon binds on left on the D-pad instead of ping, just because, you know, you never know when you're gonna need his hammer on Torb. For the next hero, Tracer, I keep the sensitivity exactly the same, just like in my last video, and I keep her ultimate on left trigger instead of Y. The reasoning for this is that if you have your ultimate on left trigger instead of Y, your fingers are just a lot more free, because if you have it set to Y, you have to use your right thumb to not only aim the pulse bomb but also press the button to actually activate it. However, if you're using left trigger, you get to use your left hand and your index finger or middle finger, so it being that, it'll be a lot easier to aim it and you'll just find yourself hitting a lot more pulse bombs. So as you can kind of see here, my crouch button being left stick comes into effect a lot on Tracer because I'm always crouching when shooting. If you watch my stream, I literally don't shoot without crouching. It's just basically habit at this point. For the last hero on DPS, I have the same settings and controls. However, my relative aim sensitivity while zoomed is changed from 50 in my last video to 52.7 now. I found that 52.7 or anything between 52 and 53 is even better than 50. It makes it just a little faster than it was at 50, but it is near perfect to how it is unzoomed. So yeah, that's what I use. If you want to use my sense on Widow, I heavily recommend using that zoom sense as well. So to start things off on tank, we have Diva, and for Diva I have the same settings and controls. However, aim smoothing is set to 0 instead of 99. For Diva, I set the aim smoothing to 0 because I think you need to be very aware and very fast to react to abilities that you need to eat. Also, there's a mechanic on Diva that you pretty much need a fast sense to do. Basically, it's when you're flying away or just flying in general and you're able to either 180 or turn to your side really fast to prevent damage coming at you from behind or to the side that you're not covering. This is something that I do all the time, and I think most high level divas do, and it's just something that you need a fast sense to do. For the next take, Doomfist, I actually am keeping the same sense that I had in Overwatch 1 for Doomfist. Considering that he got moved from damage to tank, I thought my sense would change with it, but not really. You still needed to be hyper mobile with this hero. But if you did want a slower sense, I wouldn't blame you, because now that Doomfist does a lot less damage with his abilities, being able to hit your shots with your shotgun is a lot more important, and if being on a fast sense stops you from hitting your shotguns, then I wouldn't blame you for swapping to a slower sense. The next hero, Junkrat Queen, I keep the settings the same, default sense. I know a lot of people have a hard time hitting the knife. It is pretty difficult to hit. It's not as easy as Roadhog hook. So you could either make it faster if you want or make it slower. But for me, I just keep it around my default sense. For Orisa, I keep the same exact general settings, you know, nothing changed. However, in Overwatch 1, I used to actually run her with 70 aim smoothing, but ever since they changed her in Overwatch 2 and kind of made her a lot more aim based, I ended up changing it to 99 just to make it easier for me to hit my javelins and to just aim better. For Reinhardt, honestly, the only thing that really needs aim with Reinhardt is his flame strikes, but with my settings, I changed aim smoothing to 0. It doesn't really make the flame strikes that difficult to hit. I mean, with 0 aim smoothing, it's still pretty easy. But yeah, the fast sense is really good on Reinhardt. I mean, you could 180 for the shatters, you could look around with your shield, you could flick your flame strikes. It's really good for Reinhardt. For Roadhog, I actually changed the aim smoothing to 70 and keep everything else default. I don't know why, but for me, Roadhog, I can't play him on my default sense. It feels really weird. It feels gross even. So I changed his aim smoothing to 70. That makes it feel more fluid and just better in general. But yeah, it works for me. It feels right. And who knows? I hope that if you try it, it works for you as well. For the next hero, Sigma, I keep everything the same, default settings. However, when Sigma actually came out, for a little bit, I used to run 70 aim smoothing on him because I didn't think that his aim was that difficult. I honestly thought that you didn't need that much skill with Sigma when he first came out for a little bit, but I realized that his orbs are actually a lot harder to hit than it seems. So yeah, my sense is what works for me. For Winston, I actually changed my aim smoothing to 0 because before Overwatch 2, Winston didn't require any aim at all except for when you're primal juggling. But now that he has his long range ability, still that's not really that hard to aim. So I keep the 0 aim smoothing because it just really fits Winston. I like to just feel fast on the hero. It's fun. So yeah, you should give it a try. I'm pretty sure it's the fastest sense you can get on a controller with Winston. So good luck. For the next hero, Wrecking Ball, probably the cutest hero in the game. I actually have default settings, everything the same. I used to actually run 0 aim smoothing or 70 on Wrecking Ball because I thought that I needed to be fast and like have a fast sense on him. However, it turns out that his aim is actually the most important part of the kit. Like that's what distinguishes a good player from a great player. So I just run the same default settings because it really helps with my aim and it just works with Wrecking Ball. For the last tank, Zarya, I also run the same default sense. Zarya is purely tracking, some projectile with her right click, but I would say mostly tracking, and again, my sense is perfect for it. I've run it for what, 4 years now. So yeah, I stick to it and it works very, very well. So on to supports. For Ana, I run the same settings. However, for her zoomed in scope sense, just like Widow, I run it at 52.7. Again, this works really well for Ana. And for the friendly aim assist, I run it at 50 because if you were to run it at 100, it feels very strong and it actually messes with your shot a lot. I mean, this is up for you to decide. For me, personal preference is 50. You could also change the size of the nano boost hitbox. However, I keep it at this because I don't really find myself missing nano boost too often, and I think it's a really big help. The next hero, Baptiste, I do run the same exact settings and controls. However, I do turn off recoil, recovery, aim compensation. Basically what this does is when you shoot with Baptiste, since he runs a triple burst gun, you go straight up and you can't interrupt that animation. Turning this off allows you to, I guess, pull it more down and allows for more control of the crosshair. It helps a lot for Baptiste, like a lot on controller. The difference is night and day, and I genuinely suggest that you try it. If you don't like it, that's fine, but might as well give it a try. For the next support, Brig, y'all know it. Brig doesn't require any aim at all. You could argue that her whip shot requires good aim, but I think with my sense being changed from the aim smoothing to 99 to 0, you can get used to the fast whip shots. But yeah, change it from 99 to 0 and everything else stays the same. For the newest support, Kiriko, I actually do have a few changes to her. For some reason, for the default settings on the character, her primary fire, aka her shooting, is on the left trigger, but her healing is on the right trigger. I found that very weird, so I swapped the two. I swapped primary to left trigger and secondary fire to right trigger, just to get a better feeling for the character. I also have toggle healing off, so that I can throw 1 or 2 papers instead of throwing all 5 at once. And then for the rest, the sensitivity is still the same at 99. For Lucio, I actually have a good amount of changes. For starters, I changed his aim smoothing to 70. This just allows me to not only aim easier and to make him feel a lot smoother, it also helps wall riding and looking in the direction in which you're going to go. I also changed his jump from left trigger to A and his secondary fire, aka his boop, from left trigger to A. This just helps you wall ride, and trust me, wall riding with your jump on left trigger and not on A is so much easier. I literally recommend change it to left trigger. You could be like a beginner Lucio, immediately change it. Also, you should always have allow backwards wall ride on. I don't know why it's off by default. It doesn't affect the player in a negative way, and honestly, it's pretty critical to playing Lucio. For the next hero, Mercy, honestly, I wouldn't take my settings like 1-to-1, because literally I do not play any Mercy, and when I do, I mean, this feels right to me, but I have a feeling that there's like Mercy players out there who are looking at my settings and just vomiting. I mean, I probably have some stuff that I shouldn't have on, or stuff that should be changed. I don't know, but what I do change, I change the aim smoothing to 0 because Mercy requires 0 aim. And also, I bind next weapon to left on the D-pad instead of ping. For the next hero, Moira, just like Mercy, I have 0 aim smoothing as well. Everything else the same. Moira literally requires no aim, probably no skill. So yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to have the fastest sense. So that's just what I rock with. The last hero of the video, Zenyatta, I have the exact same sense and controls. Zenyatta is a very aim-based hero, and I gotta stick with my trusty sensitivity. And yeah, it's just the best I have. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. This video took a lot of effort. It took me a long time. It really means a lot that you watched the video. I hope you learned something new. I hope you learned a sense, tried it. Even if you didn't like it, trying it just means the world to me. I'll be making more Overwatch 2 videos. I have a lot of ideas. This was my biggest one. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I just waited for the release of Overwatch 2 to make it. I was going to make it for Overwatch 1, but I just thought that I'd wait for this game to come out because I just wouldn't want to make it again. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.